Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really extraordinary journey, I think, a deep dive into what it truly means to be human. For centuries, people, philosophers, scientists, storytellers have grappled with this fundamental question. Why are we the way we are?
It's a huge question.
Huge. Why do we cooperate on this massive scale, building incredible civilizations, creating wonders, but then also descend into these really bitter tribal conflicts? Why do we dream big, innovate, create art, yet sometimes just fall prey to predictable irrationality in our everyday choices? It feels like a paradox, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And it's that paradox we're trying to unpack today.
So in this deep dive, we're going to merge insights, really profound insights from evolutionary biology, cutting-edge psychology, and just vast cultural history to understand the fundamental nature of humanity.
And crucially, how that understanding can power your personal growth, how it equips you to navigate the sheer complexity of the modern world.
Exactly. We're talking about connecting our ancient wiring, those deep-seated instincts, the brain mechanisms forged over millions of years with the unique demands and, let's be honest, the exciting opportunities of 21st century life.
It's a synthesis. It's about seeing those invisible threads that connect us way back to our earliest ancestors, even as we face challenges they couldn't possibly have imagined.
Yeah, definitely couldn't have imagined social media.
Right, exactly. This is a concept we're calling the unified human. It's about recognizing that our ancient instincts, our biases, our modern minds, they aren't separate things. They're constantly interacting.
Like gears meshing, sometimes smoothly, sometimes not so smoothly.
Precisely. And the mission here is to unpack these, frankly, really big ideas, break them down into practical, digestible lessons, and then invite you, our listener, to apply them directly in your daily life.
Think of it as gaining a unique kind of superpower.
Yeah, the power of radical self-awareness. It lets you not just react to the world, but consciously shape your responses, cultivate better relationships, maybe even define a clearer sense of purpose.
We'll look at where our deepest drives come from, how our imagination, this incredible thing, allowed us to build societies.
And then, crucially, how those same fundamental human traits can sometimes lead us astray, especially in a world that's changed so dramatically so fast.
That's right. From our deepest tribal instincts, that need for belonging, for survival, right through to the complexities of modern identity, digital connection, all of it. We'll explore how we became who we are.
And, perhaps even more importantly, how to live better, more consciously now that we know this stuff.
We're going to distill wisdom from ancient philosophy, but also combine it with cutting-edge science, all into actionable insights for you.
It's about being both humble, acknowledging our biology, the forces that shape us, and also deeply empowered, realizing our huge capacity for intentional change and growth.
So we've got 10 fascinating themes or chapters to explore today, and we're drawing from some incredible thinkers whose work has truly reshaped how we see ourselves.
We'll be touching on Yuval Harari, who gives us that grand historical narrative.
Epic scale.
Totally. Robert Sapolsky, grounding us in the neurobiology. Daniel Kahneman, revealing our predictable irrationality.
System 1 and System 2, yes.
Charles Duhigg on the power of habit. Susan Cain championing introverts.
Dale Carnegie, the master of connection.
Still relevant. Robert Cialdini on persuasion. Robert Greene dissecting, the sometimes darker laws of human nature.
And Dan Ariely showing how irrationality dictates so many choices. It's quite a lineup.
It really is. Think of this deep dive as a kind of blueprint, maybe, for navigating your own behavior, understanding your relationships, even how you engage with global challenges.
Armed with knowledge from the past and the present.
Exactly. By understanding these deep patterns, you can anticipate pitfalls, enhance your decision-making, foster more meaningful connections.
It's about seeing the underlying human code at play, isn't it? In every interaction, every choice.
Moving beyond just reacting to consciously, deliberately creating your life and your impact.
Okay. So, if you're ready to explore these intricate layers of human nature, gain this shortcut to being well-informed, deeply self-aware, you're absolutely in the right place.
Let's unpack the unified human.
And if you love what you hear today, please do remember to subscribe to BookTalk Studio. It supports this work and gets you weekly deep dives like this, turning great books into hopefully meaningful, actionable conversations. Okay, let's unpack this first big idea. It's fundamental, really. How did Homo sapiens become the dominant species? Not through, like, brute strength.
Right, we weren't the strongest or fastest.
No, but by something else, something far more powerful, something uniquely human. This really sets the stage for everything else, this unified human concept.
What's truly fascinating here, and Yuval Harari explains this so well, is his concept of the cognitive revolution.
Right, around 70,000 years ago.
Roughly, yes. It wasn't a single event, more like a profound shift. It was the moment our language became sophisticated enough to describe things that don't physically exist.
Things you can't touch or see.
Exactly. Ideas. Before this, other early humans, like other animals, communicated about immediate realities. You know, lion nearby, watch out, or good berries over there, concrete stuff.
Very practical.
Very practical,
Yeah.
limited to the here and now. But afterwards, everything changed. This new capacity allowed us to talk about invisible things, abstract concepts, collective fictions.
Like tribal spirits, ancestral heroes.
Laws, legends, gods. Harari puts it vividly. Thanks to the cognitive revolution, Homo sapiens acquired the ability to say the lion is the guardian spirit of our tribe.
Wow, that's a leap.
It's a massive leap. It wasn't just new words, it was a whole new way of interacting with reality itself. A jump into shared imagination. Think about the power of convincing thousands of people that an invisible God demands their loyalty, or a sacred story dictates their laws.
And that leads directly to cooperation, right? That's
Right.
the huge consequence.
Exactly. Here's where it gets really interesting. This new ability for shared fiction fundamentally changed human cooperation. Before this, hunter-gatherer bands, they generally maxed out around 150 people.
Dunbar's number.
That's the one. It seems to be a kind of biological limit for how many people you can personally know, trust, and track within a group based on direct relationships and gossip.
Beyond that, things just fall apart.
Pretty much. Groups would splinter. The social glue of personal connection just wasn't strong enough for larger numbers.
But shared myths, they broke that barrier.
Shattered it. By believing in the same story, a common ancestor, a guiding spirit, a sacred law as honorary, thousands, eventually millions of strangers could cooperate toward common goals without ever meeting face to face.
That's mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. Harari says, any large-scale human cooperation, whether a modern state, a medieval church, an ancient city, or an archaic tribe, is rooted in common myths that exist only in people's collective imagination.
So nations, religions, corporations, they're all based on stories we agree to believe.
Fundamentally, yes. They are the invisible social glue, the shared operating manuals allowing for incredible coordination and complexity. It's how you get pyramids built, empires run, global trade networks functioning.
Wow. Okay, give us an example.
All right, let's contrast two foundational texts, separated by 3,500 years, but both built on these imagined orders. Go back to 1776 BC. King Hammurabi of Babylon proclaims his famous law code.
Carved on that big stone pillar.
That's the one. It asserts justice comes directly from the gods, Shamash the sun god specifically, to maintain order. And it divides people rigidly. Superiors, commoners, slaves, different rights, different punishments based on status.
And to them, that seemed totally natural.
Perfectly natural, divinely ordained,
Right.
eternal. Now fast forward 3,500 years to 1776 AD Philadelphia.
The Declaration of Independence.
Exactly. Declaring all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights.
A radical contrast.
Completely opposite. But Harari points out, neither Hammurabi's eternal hierarchy nor Jefferson's natural rights exists as an objective biological reality like a tree or gravity. They exist only in our collective imagination.
So rights aren't real in the same way atoms are real.
Not in the same way. Harari says humans have no natural rights, just as spiders and chimpanzees have no natural rights. They are powerful, incredibly important cultural stories we choose to believe, fictions we collectively agree upon.
Fictions we live by, build societies on, even fight and die for.
Precisely. So what does this mean for us? The immense power of these shared myths is that they enable cooperation on a scale no other animal can achieve. Millions acting cohesively.
Whether the story is Marduk commanded me or all men are created equal.
The specific story matters less than the fact that everyone believes it. People treated these laws as sacred, allowing strangers to trust each other, trade, build cities, function as a group.
The Babylonian farmer and the American patriot, they disagree on everything.
Fiercely. But both were operating within myths that existed only because of collective belief.
So that's the double-edged sword you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Our unique ability to invent and believe shared myths binds millions together, empires, nations, global movements. But it also sets the stage for conflict when those myths clash.
Us versus them, based on whose story is right.
Constantly. Clan versus clan, religion versus religion, nation versus nation, ideology versus ideology. The labels change. The underlying dynamic of loyalty to our story and suspicion of theirs remains incredibly powerful.
But hang on, we're not just puppets of these stories, are we? What about our biology, our instincts?
Good point. No, we're not just puppets. We absolutely share primal drives with other primates, status-seeking, reproduction, protecting kin. But we also evolved something remarkable, the frontal cortex.
The brain's CEO.
You could say that. It's the most advanced part, responsible for reasoning, foresight, planning, and critically, self-control. Robert Sapolsky puts it with his usual wit. The frontal cortex makes you do the harder thing when it's the right thing to do.
Like resisting that extra slice of cake.
Or apologizing when you're angry, or sticking to a long-term plan instead of going for immediate gratification. It's the part that overrides impulse with reason or rules.
And this part of the brain grew really fast in humans, right?
Remarkably fast, evolutionarily speaking. It enabled behaviors far beyond other animals, like genuine empathy for strangers, not just kin, complex long-term planning, adhering to abstract moral rules even at personal cost.
So it's this constant push-pull inside us.
That's a great way to put it, a biological drama. The push-pull between our ancient limbic drives for dominance, sex, fear, affection, and our sophisticated frontal judgment. That tension is at the heart of human nature.
So a hungry monkey grabs food. A hungry human might not. Why?
Because of an idea. A religious fact, a moral principle like stealing is wrong, a health goal. This ability to subordinate a raw physical impulse to an imagined rule or a future outcome, that's a defining leap. Mind over matter, literally.
Shared mental constructs taking precedence over immediate physical drives.
Exactly. But it's not always a peaceful negotiation between biology and ideology. They interact in really complex ways.
Like hormones.
Yeah, take testosterone. It can increase confidence, risk-taking. But Sapolsky points out, whether that leads to, say, violence on a battlefield, or ambition in business, or maybe even bold artistic creation, that depends heavily on the cultural context, the stories we tell ourselves about what's appropriate.
So the same hormone can push in different directions depending on the culture.
Absolutely. Or oxytocin, the bonding hormone, makes us kinder, more trusting towards our in-group.
Our tribe, our family.
Right. But the flip side is, it can actually increase distrust, even aggression, towards outsiders, towards them. Evolution gave us powerful emotional circuits for connection and protection, but culture largely directs where those emotions point.
A tribal warrior 10,000 years ago and a modern soldier might feel the same adrenaline rush.
Driven by similar primal fight-or-flight responses.
But this story justifying the fight, the myth that unites them against the enemy, is totally different.
Totally different. And our big brains are constantly spitting explanations for our feelings and actions, often in the form of these myths or beliefs. Sapolsky even notes we fool ourselves. We maintain flattering narratives. I am a generous person. I did that for noble reasons, rather than confronting darker, maybe more selfish drives.
Why do we do that?
Interestingly, it might serve a purpose. Believing the nicer myth about ourselves can actually encourage us to act in line with it. It reinforces positive behavior.
So biology provides the pulse, the raw material.
But narrative gives the purpose, the meaning, the direction. Our instincts set the stage. Our imagination writes the script.
And history confirms this interplay. Robert Greene's work digs into this, right? How patterns repeat.
Absolutely. Greene notes how certain patterns reappear constantly across different eras, different cultures, like the tendency for power and inequality to reassert themselves, no matter the political system.
Like ancient hierarchies echoing in modern wealth gaps.
Precisely. Or how collective aggression just adapts. It doesn't go away. It just uses new tools, from swords to cyber weapons. The technology changes. The impulse might remain.
But history also shows empathy expanding, right? Like abolishing slavery.
Yes, definitely. It's an ambivalent record. We see these recurring, sometimes dark patterns, but also clear examples of moral progress, of expanding our circle of us. Recognizing both sides, the enduring instincts and the evolving narratives, is key to navigating the future with, hopefully, wiser expectations. Understanding both our flaws and our capacity for remarkable change.
Okay, this next part, this is where it gets really interesting, I think, because it dives right into the workings of your own brain. Our brains are incredible, obviously, capable of amazing creativity, problem solving.
Abstract thought, complex planning.
Yeah, But they also have these built-in quirks, these fundamental features that make us predictably irrational. It's almost like having two different operating systems running side by side.
And one of them is usually driving the bus without us even realizing it.
Exactly.
Daniel Kahneman, the Nobel laureate, famously breaks this down into System 1 and System 2.
The fast and the slow thinking.
That's it. System 1 is fast, automatic, intuitive. It operates largely without conscious effort. It's what you use when you recognize a familiar face, understand a simple sentence, react quickly to a loud noise.
Effortless.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
System 2, though, is slow, effortful, logical. It demands attention. It's what you engage when you're solving a tricky math problem, trying to remember a specific detail, or carefully weighing a big decision.
Like buying a house or choosing a career path.
Right. But crucially, Kahneman points out, the intuitive System 1 is way more influential in our daily lives. He calls it the secret author of many of the choices and judgments you make.
So our default is gut feelings and mental shortcuts.
Largely, yes. These shortcuts are called heuristics. And while they're often appropriate, most snap judgments are okay. Relying on System 1 breeds overconfidence and makes us prone to systematic errors or biases.
We trust our gut even when it's wrong.
And often, we don't even know it's wrong until much later, if ever. And Kahneman's point is, these biases aren't random glitches. They're baked into how our minds work.
Features, not bugs.
Kinda, yeah. Even really smart people aren't immune. We just can't pay conscious attention to everything all the time. System 1 jumps in with a quick, often flawed answer before System 2 even gets going.
You can't constantly second-guess every little thought.
Impossible. Our cognitive resources are finite. These biases are part of our mental hardware, like optical illusions are part of how vision works.
And the biology lines up with this too, doesn't it? Sapolsky talks about the amygdala.
Exactly. Sapolsky points out that sensory information can hit the amygdala, our brain's ancient alarm center, before it even reaches the prefrontal cortex for rational analysis.
But we literally jump to conclusions.
We do. It's an evolutionary adaptation for quick threat response. Is that a snake or a stick? Better react fast just in case. But in our modern world, this pathway isn't terribly accurate, as Sapolsky puts it. It can hijack our emotions and actions before logic catches up.
And dopamine rewards this quick thinking.
Yeah, the dopamine system rewards quick pattern recognition and decisive action, which reinforces our confidence in System 1. We are fundamentally wired for speed over accuracy. Our first instincts feel compelling, and it takes deliberate effort, System 2 effort, to slow down and question them.
And because these mental misfires are systematic, they create predictable patterns of irrationality. Dan Ariely showed this, right, with the decoy effect.
Vividly. Imagine you're offered magazine subscriptions. Option A, online only for $59. Option B, print only for $125. Option C, print plus online for $125.
Okay, option B seems pointless. Why pay the same for just print when you can get both?
Exactly, it's a decoy.
Yeah.
Its purpose is to make option C, the print plus online combo, look like a much better deal by comparison.
And does it work?
Ariely found it worked dramatically. When that print-only decoy, option B, was present, most people chose option C, the more expensive combo, but removed the decoy. Suddenly, far more people chose the Huber online-only option A.
Wow, so just changing the comparison changes the choice.
Precisely. It shows our preferences aren't absolute. They're highly context-dependent. We compare options relatively, not in isolation. By changing the frame, you reliably change the decision. It's a consistent bug that can be exploited.
Which means predictable irrationalities leads to predictable manipulation.
Unfortunately, yes. Robert Greene notes that an irrational person, someone ruled by System 1 biases, is easily seduced or controlled by those who know how to push those emotional buttons or exploit insecurities.
Like politicians, marketers.
Savvy marketers, charismatic leaders. They use decoys, vivid stories instead of data, dangle free E, offers to short-circuit our judgment, bypass System 2.
Fear and greed are powerful levers too, right? Like in financial markets.
Absolutely. Think of financial bubbles, unbridled optimism, the lure of easy money, sweeping up even experienced investors, making them ignore rational analysis. System 1 overrides System 2.
And in everyday life too. A scary news story makes risks feel bigger.
Right. A flattering compliment makes us drop our guard. A limited time offer creates false urgency. It's all leveraging System 1 biases.
Okay, so our two minds are often in conflict, and System 1 usually wins. But the good news is, if we know these patterns,
we can anticipate and mitigate them. Knowledge is power here.
So what can we actually do? How do we make more deliberate choices? Kahneman says we can't just train ourselves to be perfectly rational.
No, that's unrealistic. Our wiring is too deep. Instead, we need decision-making frameworks that compensate for bias.
Like systems to help System 2 do its job.
Exactly. Ariely suggests designing our environment to nudge us toward better choices, make the good choice the easy choice. Greene talks about cultivating an inner Athena, a rational self, which takes ongoing strategy, not just willpower.
So the pragmatic approach is, don't just rely on willpower, build systems and habits to outsmart yourself.
That's the core idea. Externalize System 2's work. Think checklists.
Like pilots use before takeoff.
Precisely. They enforce thoroughness, prevent errors under pressure. Kahneman talks about decision hygiene, things like taking an outside view.
What's that?
Instead of just focusing on your unique situation, look at the statistical base rate for similar situations. How often do projects like this succeed? It grounds your optimism. Or breaking big judgments into smaller, independent assessments.
Anything that slows down System 1 and engages System 2.
Right. It adds structure to overcome impulse.
And Ariely's work on pre-commitment sounds really powerful for discipline, like setting deadlines.
Hugely powerful. Remember that experiment with student deadlines? Group 1 had firm instructor-set deadlines. Group 2, just one deadline at the end. Group 3 set their own.
And Group 1, with the strict deadlines, did best.
By far. Outperformed even those who set their own deadlines. Ariely concluded that tightly restricting their freedom is the best cure for procrastination.
So external structure trumps willpower.
Often, yes. It shows self-awareness isn't enough. We benefit from locking ourselves into good choices beforehand. Like Odysseus tying himself to the mast.
A classic pre-commitment. So what does this mean for you, the listener? You can outsmart your biases.
Absolutely. Not just through willpower, but through smart design. Build systems that preempt bias.
Okay, give us some tools.
All right, tool 1, the bias audit. Before any major decision, career, purchase, tricky conversation, run a quick checklist.
Like what?
Ask, am I being overly optimistic? What's the base rate here? Have I seriously considered the opposite view? Looked for reasons I might be wrong? Which option feels emotionally right? And could that emotion be clouding things?
Just asking forces you to pause.
Exactly. It slows you down, lets System 2 kick in, gives reason a chance to review intuition. It's like installing mental speed bumps for System 1.
I like that. Okay, tool 2.
Tool 2, reward substitution. This is about hacking your motivation. Align what you need to do with something you actually like to do.
So you harness the brain's reward pathways.
Precisely. Ariely, for instance, only let himself watch movies on nights he had to do painful medication injections. The enjoyable movie pulled him through the unpleasant task.
That's clever. So instead of battling temptation, you engineer the situation so your better self wins.
You got it. Create a positive feedback loop. Hate exercise. Only listen to your favorite podcast while running. Tedious work task. Pair it with great coffee or a short break afterwards.
You hack the habit loop, cue, routine, reward.
Exactly. You use a cue, need to do task, to trigger the desired routine, doing the task, by immediately following it with a satisfying reward. You harness System 1's love for instant gratification. It's like Greene's emotional leverage, using emotions for you, not against you. Working with your two minds, not constantly fighting them. Hashtag Chapter 3 Habits and Free Will.
All right, our next deep dive tackles a really big one, a question that gets debated endlessly. How much of our daily life is actually a conscious choice? You know, free will in action.
Versus how much is just autopilot.
Exactly. How much are we just running on habit? This goes right to the core of our sense of agency, doesn't it? Control over our lives.
It really does. And Charles Duhigg, in his work on habits, reveals something pretty staggering. Some studies suggest maybe up to 40% of what we do every single day isn't deliberate choice at all.
40%? That's huge.
It is. It's habit. Duhigg outlines the habit loop, this three-part neurological pattern driving almost all our automatic behaviors. First, there's a cue.
A trigger, like your phone buzzing.
Right. That leads to a routine, the behavior itself, like checking your phone, which then delivers a reward.
The payoff, that little hit of information or relief from boredom.
Exactly. And this loop cue, routine reward, gets wired into our brains through repetition. It becomes automatic. The brain stores these loops deep down in the basal ganglia, this ancient part of the brain.
So it can run the routine without much conscious thought.
Precisely. It frees up our higher level thinking, the prefrontal cortex, for more complex stuff. Those MIT experiments with rats. They showed that once a habit formed, the decision-making parts of the rat's brains actually went quiet.
The habit literally took over.
It did. became an automatic sequence.
And we see this play out dramatically in real life. Duhigg tells that story of Lisa Allen.
Incredible transformation. A woman who was overweight, a heavy smoker, deep in debt.
Just struggling on multiple fronts.
Right. But by understanding and deliberately changing her habits, within a few years, she quit smoking, lost 60 pounds, ran a marathon, even got a master's degree.
How did she start?
She identified smoking as a keystone habit, one habit that, when changed, triggers a cascade of other positive changes. Instead of fighting the urge directly, she substituted a new routine, jogging whenever she felt the craving.
So same cue, craving, different routine jogging, similar reward, stress relief, maybe endorphins.
Exactly. And incredibly, her brain scans even showed new neural patterns forming as the old cravings subsided and healthier habits took root. It shows the brain's plasticity, our capacity for deep change.
But there's a flip side, isn't there? The sheer power of ingrained habits when you're trying to break them.
Oh, absolutely. Think about someone trying to quit drinking or smoking. They might be doing great, but then they walk into an old environment, a bar, a party, even just their usual spot on the porch.
And bam, the craving hits.
Instantly. Powerfully. Robert Sapolsky explains that cues associated with addictive behaviors, seeing an ad, the smell of smoke, walking past a pub, can trigger huge dopamine surges and cravings that just inundate the person, regardless of their conscious desire to quit.
It bypasses willpower.
Often, yes. Brain imaging confirms it. Just seeing a beer bottle can light up an addict's basal ganglia and dopamine pathways before they're even consciously aware of wanting a drink. The habit loop starts firing automatically.
That's sobering. It shows how much control these habits can gain, often unconsciously.
It really does.
Yeah.
Which leads us right back to that big, tricky question.
Free will. Is it just an illusion? If so much is automatic, driven by wiring and conditioning, how much real choice do we have?
Sapolsky tackles this head-on, drawing on decades of neurobiology. He points to those classic experiments by Benjamin Libet in the 80s.
The button-pressing experiments.
That's right. Libet found brain activity predicting the action pressing a button showed up about half a second before the person reported consciously deciding to press it.
Half a second before. So the brain decided before we did.
That's the controversial implication, that the decision is initiated pre-consciously by neural machinery, and our conscious awareness just catches up later, creating a story of I decided.
So Sapolsky leans towards free will being an illusion.
Or at least a heavily mitigated phenomenon, as he puts it. He argues our choices are always the product of this incredibly complex web of neural activity, genes, hormones, upbringing, culture, stretching back moments, days, years, even millennia. He really challenges traditional ideas of personal responsibility, arguing they need to be squared with the brain's mechanics.
He also mentions cases like Phineas Gage, right, the railroad worker.
A classic, tragic example. Gage survived an iron rod blasting through his frontal cortex. Miraculously lived, but his personality completely changed.
Went from responsible and conscientious to impulsive and unreliable.
Utterly. Couldn't stick to plans, lost all sense of social convention. It dramatically showed how much our capacity for self-regulation, for willpower, depends on the physical integrity of the frontal cortex. Damage those circuits, and willpower can just evaporate.
Which implies our normal willpower is also biologically based, influenced by countless factors.
That's Sapolsky's argument. Milliseconds of neural firing, influenced by everything that came before.
Okay, so if so much is habit and biology, are we just puppets? Is it hopeless?
Not at all. This picture is humbling, yes, but it's also incredibly empowering. The key insight from both Sapolsky and Duhigg is that understanding these automatic processes gives us leverage.
Knowledge gives us control.
It moves us from blind struggle against ourselves to informed strategy. Dan Ariely argues exactly this. Instead of relying on flaky willpower, which often fails against strong urges,
we should preempt our impulsive tendencies by locking ourselves into good choices. Pre-commitment again.
Exactly. Strategically applied structure often trumps willpower. Remember his deadline experiment.
The students with strict external deadlines got the best grades.
Right. Better than those with no deadlines, and even better than those who set their own deadlines, because they often procrastinated setting them early enough. Ariely's conclusion: tightly restricting their freedom is the best cure for procrastination.
Structure beats intention.
It often does. It means self-awareness alone isn't the whole answer. We benefit hugely from built-in commitments that remove the option for our impulsive self to derail our long-term goals. It's Odysseus and the mast, modernized.
That's brilliant. Instead of battling temptation head-on, you just engineer the situation so your better self wins almost automatically. You make the good choice the path of least resistance.
Precisely. And Duhigg offers his golden rule of habit change, which is so practical. He says you can't really extinguish a bad habit. The neural pathways are too strong. But you can change it.
How?
By keeping the old cue and the old reward, but consciously inserting a new routine.
Don't fight the cue or the craving. Redirect the action.
Exactly. Because the cue will still trigger the craving. Trying to just resist it is exhausting and often fails. Instead, redirect the routine to something less harmful or even beneficial that still satisfies the underlying need the old habit was meeting.
Like the Alcoholics Anonymous example.
Perfect example. AA doesn't ask alcoholics to simply stop feeling the urge to drink. That craving, triggered by cues, is real. But when the cue hits, they substitute a different routine. Call a sponsor, go to a meeting to satisfy the same underlying need, maybe for relief, connection, or escape.
They harness the habit's force instead of fighting it.
Yes. Or Duhigg's example of Alcoa CEO Paul O'Neill focusing on worker safety as a keystone habit. Any accident cue triggered an immediate safety review, new routine, leading to increased safety and recognition, reward. This focus cascaded, improving productivity and quality across the company.
So we're shaped by our biology, but we can also shape it back.
It's a perpetual dance. We have agency, but it's what you might call embedded agency. It works within the wiring of our brains. Like a skilled rider guiding a powerful elephant, not an omnipotent commander forcing it.
True willpower is understanding and training the elephant, not just yelling at it.
Beautifully put.
So how do we bridge this gap? How do we align our want brain with our should brain in practice? 2 tools.
2 actionable tools. Tool 1, the 2-minute rule. This makes any new habit feel ridiculously easy, so you can't procrastinate.
How does it work?
Break the desired habit down into an action that takes less than 2 minutes. Want to floss more? Start by flossing just 1 tooth. Want to read more? Commit to just 2 pages. Want to exercise? Just put on your workout clothes.
It lowers the barrier to start.
Massively. It lowers the activation energy and creates momentum. And crucially, by doing even that tiny part consistently, you reinforce the identity of being someone who flosses, reads, or exercises. It's too small to trigger much resistance, so you do it. And doing it makes doing more much easier.
Okay, simple but sounds effective. Tool 2.
Tool 2, the neurocompassion checklist. This is for when you're struggling, when you slip up with a habit, which inevitably happens. It helps you respond constructively instead of beating yourself up.
Because self-criticism often backfires.
Right.
Makes you feel hopeless.
Totally. So first step.
Yeah.
Before blaming yourself, check your basic biology. How's your stress? How's your sleep? Sapolsky emphasizes that low sleep and high stress degrade prefrontal cortex function. They literally turn down your willpower capacity. So address that first.
Don't blame your character. Check your physiology.
Right. Second, analyze the cue and reward without judgment. Use Duhigg's framework. What triggered the slip? What reward were you really seeking? Boredom relief, comfort, connection. Understanding the function helps you find a healthier substitute routine that meets the same need.
Get curious, not critical.
Exactly. And third, crucially, praise small improvements and forgive yourself for slips. Dale Carnegie said, praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Positive reinforcement works far better than self-flagellation. Focus on progress, not perfection.
So, check biology, understand the loop, be kind to yourself.
That's the checklist. It aligns your change efforts with how your brain actually works a compassionate, pragmatic path to lasting change and greater self-mastery. Hashtag Chapter 4, Personality and the Self.
Okay, let's dive into the very core of who we are, our personality, our sense of self. And it turns out how we're wired, just fundamentally, can lead to some really surprising and often unnecessary social misunderstandings.
Oh, constantly. We see this all the time. Take our case study, The Office Misread. You've got Emma, a quiet, thoughtful analyst, a classic introvert, and Jake, her team leader, who's outgoing, energetic, a classic extrovert.
The common dynamic.
Very. Emma finds the open plan office absolutely draining. The constant noise, the interruptions, it just exhausts her. She's deeply focused on her work, doing great analysis, but her quietness, her need for concentration, gets misinterpreted by Jake.
He thinks she's disengaged, not a team player.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Jake's style, thinking out loud, brainstorming verbally, thriving on interaction, energizes him. But it inadvertently intimidates Emma. She feels overwhelmed, put on the spot.
So this fundamental difference in temperament creates real tension.
Huge tension. Emma felt undervalued, stressed. Jake felt baffled. maybe even a bit frustrated by her lack of visible enthusiasm. He just didn't get why she wasn't like him.
How did they resolve it?
Thankfully, a manager who understood these differences stepped in. Jake learned to give Emma information before meetings so she could prepare her thoughts. That way, she could contribute thoughtfully without feeling ambushed.
Playing to her strengths.
Right. And he started acknowledging her contributions privately, one-on-one, making her feel seen and valued pure Dale Carnegie. Emma, in turn, got better at communicating her needs, suggesting email updates instead of spontaneous brainstorming.
So understanding replaced assumption.
And it transformed their relationship. Jake started seeing her quiet focus not as a weakness, but as a strength that produced high-quality work.
So, why are some people Emmas and others Jakes? Why these deep-seated differences?
Susan Cain, in her work Championing Introverts, argues compellingly that introversion and extroversion aren't just preferences, they're deeply rooted biological temperaments.
Wired differently from the start.
Largely, yes. Introverts often have a more highly reactive nervous system. They get easily overstimulated by noise, bright lights, lots of social interaction. They need less dopamine arousal to feel alert and function best in lower stimulation environments.
Which leads to deep focus, thoughtfulness, but also social exhaustion.
Exactly. Extroverts, on the other hand, might have differences in their dopamine systems, maybe linked to that DRD47R gene variant associated with novelty seeking. They need more external stimuli to feel rewarded and energized. They thrive on buzz and interaction.
So understanding this biology helps us work with our nature, not against it, and appreciate others.
Absolutely. It fosters empathy and reduces misinterpretation.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Connecting temperament to an even deeper layer. The self, the ego. Robert Greene starts his Law of Narcissism with a pretty provocative statement.
Yeah, he says all of us are narcissists, some deeper on the spectrum than others.
Which sounds harsh, but he means it's a fundamental human drive.
Right. Not necessarily pathological, but basic. Every human ego, from infancy, craves affirmation, validation, a sense of importance. We build and maintain an idealized self-image, emphasizing strengths, explaining away flaws, creating an internal self we can feel good about.
And a healthy dose of this is essential for confidence, resilience.
Totally essential. Greene calls it productive narcissism. Think of someone like Steve Jobs. His intense self-belief fueled incredible innovation. But Greene notes, there was also a rough shadow side.
Difficulty with empathy, maybe? Exploiting others?
Sometimes, yes. That's the ego paradox. The self-love that drives us can isolate us if it becomes excessive, if it tips into toxic narcissism where empathy disappears and others become just tools or mirrors.
So Greene dissects the ego's drive. Dale Carnegie comes at it from the other side, right? Focusing on other people's egos.
Exactly. It's a fascinating counterpoint. Carnegie observed that everyone, no matter how confident or powerful they seem, has this deepest principle in human nature, which is the craving to be appreciated. John Dewey called it the desire to be important.
We all want to feel significant.
Deeply. And Carnegie warned that ignoring this fundamental need in others, criticizing, condemning, complaining, inevitably wounds their pride and invites conflict. That's why his first principle is never criticize, but find honest praise.
So Greene points out the universal need for self-love, and Carnegie gives us the tools to ethically satisfy that need in others through appreciation.
Precisely. The antidote to narcissism's risks isn't suppressing our own ego, but consciously turning empathy and appreciation outward, bridging that gap between our self-worth and recognizing others' worth.
Okay, so how do we bridge that empathy gap? If we're all somewhat self-absorbed by default, how do we consciously turn outward?
Greene says we have this amazing tool, empathy, but our habitual self-absorption blunts it. So the mission is to actively cultivate turning our sensitivity outward.
Consciously work to understand and validate others. Listen instead of judge.
Yes. Greene calls it reversing the flow, absorbing their feelings, their perspective, rather than just broadcasting our own. When you meet someone's deep need to be seen and affirmed, trust builds instantly.
And Carnegie's principles are the practical how-to.
Absolutely. Sincere praise, genuine appreciation. He tells that story of the angry customer at the car dealership.
Where the owner just humbly admitted fault and invited the customer to vent.
Exactly. Said something like, "We've made mistakes, tell me about it." Totally disarming. Transformed hostility into cooperation because the customer felt heard and valued. Carnegie's core message: consistently satisfy others' ego needs with sincerity, and they will almost always cooperate.
So mastering your social self means understanding temperaments, understanding ego needs, yours and theirs, and using empathy skillfully.
It's integrating self-awareness with outward focus. Realizing everyone, including you, is hungry for acknowledgement. That's a powerful key to all relationships.
Okay, actionable tools.
2 key ones. Tool 1, the temperament audit. Seriously, take stock of yourself. Where do you fall on the introvert-extrovert spectrum? How do you recharge? How sensitive are you to stimulation? And be honest about your ego habits. How do you seek validation? Where might your shadow, your more self-absorbed side, show up?
Greene says denying it makes it harder to manage, right?
Absolutely. Acknowledging your traits and flaws is step 1. It helps you manage your energy, prevent misunderstandings, and work with your nature.
Tool 2.
Tool 2. The 2.1 validation ratio. This is pure Carnegie, made practical. For every 1 piece of criticism or correction you need to give someone, consciously aim to offer 2 sincere compliments or affirmations around the same time.
So you sandwich the negative or just generally keep the positive balance high?
Exactly. Carnegie advised starting and ending interactions positively. Greene argues affirming someone's value fulfills that deep need and lowers defenses. Make it a habit. Before you critique, find something genuine to praise. It ensures people feel appreciated, even when getting feedback. Building respect, you consciously outnumber the negatives with positives, making people feel secure, which ironically makes them more open to hearing difficult things. Chapter 5, influence and connection.
Okay, influence. We all want it on some level, right?
Right.
Whether it's getting your idea heard at work, convincing friends, mobilizing a community. It's fundamental to how we interact.
Absolutely. But the question is, how do you do it effectively and ethically? How do you inspire genuine cooperation, not just manipulate people?
Good question. Let's look at that case study, the factory turnaround.
Yeah, great example of ethical influence. Picture this aging steel factory, right? Bitter standoff between the union and management. Negotiations had failed repeatedly, mostly a cycle of blame. Criticism, condemnation from both sides. Workers felt totally disrespected, unheard. They were threatening a strike over safety and wages. Things were tense.
Until a new manager arrived.
Exactly. A manager who understood the deeper human dynamics. First thing, he stopped the blame game. Invited union leaders to a real listening session, no fixed agenda.
Just listened.
Listened deeply. Didn't rebut, but offered sincere appreciation for their dedication, their long service. He mirrored their concerns back to them, showing he actually heard them. Recalled names from the shop floor, that Andrew Carnegie tactic again, building rapport.
Small things that make a big difference.
Huge difference. And almost as an aside, he brought coffee and donuts. A small gesture, seems trivial, right? But it subtly taps into Cialdini's principle of reciprocity. Creates a tiny obligation to cooperate.
Clever. And he validated their frustrations.
Profoundly. Said things like, "You're rightly proud of your work and deserve safety. I hear you. Your concerns are valid." That's Robert Greene's law of defensiveness in action. Disarm people by affirming their importance, their viewpoint first.
And the result?
Remarkable. They collaboratively worked out a solution. Strike called off. It wasn't magic. It was the sophisticated blend, Carnegie's heart, Cialdini's science, Greene's strategy. An influence matrix.
This integrated approach isn't new, though, is it? Harari talks about storytelling.
Deeply rooted in our evolution. Harari observes that our species' extraordinary ability to cooperate hinges on storytelling. Early humans bonded around the campfire, sharing gossip.
Gossip as social glue.
Exactly. Exchanging vital info about who's trustworthy, who's cheating, who's reliable. It helped maintain social order in larger groups. We are profoundly wired for social storytelling.
But the big leap was shared myths, right? Fictional stories.
That was the game changer, Harari argues. Only humans can unite millions through belief in shared narratives, legends, religions, ideologies, even brands today. A successful influencer, whether a CEO or a politician, is essentially a modern storyteller.
Crafting narratives that resonate with our primal need for story, for meaning, for belonging to an us.
Precisely. They tell compelling stories about who we are, where we came from, where we're going.
So influence operates on different levels, from ancient tribes to modern boardrooms.
Absolutely. Let's layer it. You've got the tribal level, Harari, shared myths, origin stories creating unity, basic social cohesion.
Then the corporate scientific level, Cialdini's stuff.
Right. Influence through often unconscious triggers. Authority symbols, uniforms, titles, social proof, everyone's doing it, bestseller labels, scarcity, limited time offer. These trigger almost automatic compliance. Cialdini calls it click, whir.
And the political strategic level, that's more Greene.
Yes, the more calculated side. Strategic empathy mirroring desires to win people over, not necessarily out of compassion, but as a tactic. Greene's law of defensiveness confirms self-opinion to lower guards. Or like Charles de Gaulle, cultivating that regal persona to command respect. It's influence as a conscious strategy, a bit like chess.
History must be full of examples of leaders blending these.
Absolutely. Think Queen Elizabeth I, female monarch, patriarchal era, huge legitimacy challenge. She brilliantly crafted the virgin queen persona married to England,
Powerful myth.
elevated her almost to a goddess, disarming critics. But she also practiced Carnegie-style connection. Mingled with commoners, smiled, accepted flowers, gave heartfelt speeches. She won their love.
So, strategy and sincerity, myth and connection.
Perfectly blended. Narrative, psychology, heart. That's how she held power for 45 years against huge odds.
What about Lincoln? Team of rivals.
Another masterful example, bringing opponents into his cabinet. That's pure Carnegie. Best way to destroy an enemy is make him a friend.
He learned early not to criticize publicly, right? After almost fighting a duel.
Exactly. Painful lesson. He later said, I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. That's profound empathy, seeking understanding over condemnation.
And that story about Secretary Stanton calling him a fool.
Classic Lincoln. Instead of anger, he replies, if Stanton said I was a damned fool, then I must be one, for he is nearly always right.
Wow. Validating the critic.
Totally disarming. Applied strategic empathy, Greene, turned Stanton into a key ally. Lincoln's influence was built on credibility, empathy, and that larger narrative of preserving the Union, all communicated with relatable simplicity.
So these cases show ethical influence isn't choosing sincerity or our strategy, it's a fusion.
It has to be a fusion for it to be sustainable. Carnegie alone can be naive. Greene alone can be distrusted. Cialdini alone can be manipulative.
You need the mix.
You need the mix. Validation plus respect. Carnegie disarms defenses, builds trust. Psychological triggers, Cialdini, amplify the message using known patterns like reciprocity or social proof. Strategic framing, Greene, plays the long game, reading the room, letting others save face, confirming self-opinion to open minds.
That blend builds credibility over time, sustainable influence.
Exactly.
So for us, the listener, how do we apply this? How do we build our own ethical influence matrix?
2 practical tools. Tool 1, the 3-second mirror. In the first few seconds of any interaction, consciously mirror something positive and specific about the other person.
Right.
Use their name warmly. Echo a concern they just voiced. I hear you're worried about the deadline. Offer a genuine, specific compliment. Sarah, great point in the meeting earlier.
Why does that work?
Creates instant rapport. Triggers reciprocity. Lowers defenses because you immediately affirm them. And it trains your brain to focus on the positive in others.
Okay, simple but powerful. Tool 2.
Tool 2, the storytelling scorecard. When you need to persuade, presentation, pitch, even talking to your kids, run your message through this checklist.
Yeah.
Is it? Simple. Unexpected, grabs attention. Concrete, vivid examples. Credible, source experience. Emotional, connects to values. And is it a story? Narrative arc.
Like the Sexy Yes framework, basically.
Based on similar principles, yes. Scoring well means your message resonates with how humans actually process information and make decisions through simple, emotional stories, not just dry facts.
By using these tools, you align your communication with deep human nature.
Ensuring your message sticks, spreads, and genuinely inspires action. It's about inspiring cooperation and building relationships, not short-term manipulation. Hashtag Chapter 6, Power and Hierarchy.
All right, power. From emperors and palaces to CEOs and hoodies, it's always been this fascinating, often dangerous game. Who leads, who follows? How do we decode the dynamics?
That's a constant in human society, isn't it?
Right.
Let's use that 2 thrones case study again. Picture the ancient Roman emperor, marble throne, purple robes, claiming divine right.
His power rests on the story, the imagined order Harari talks about.
Exactly. Collective belief in divine right, hierarchy, enforced by bureaucracy, ritual, spectacle. But it's fragile, right? One whisper of weakness, one sign of doubt.
And betrayal is possible. The performance has to be convincing.
Absolutely. Power at the top is absolute, but perilous. Now, jump to the Silicon Valley CEO. Hoodie, sneakers, hailed as a visionary. They build this intense culture cult.
Mission statements, values, trying to inspire devotion.
Right. Hierarchy might look flat, open offices, casual dress, but the signals of power are definitely there.
Right.
Who gets access? Whose ideas get funded? Reserved parking.
Subtle but clear. And dissent isn't always a welcome.
Often muted. Question the mission, and you might find yourself sidelined. And loyalty. Just like in the emperor's court, it can be fickle. Stock tumbles, scandal hits. Allegiance can vanish overnight.
So different costumes, different eras, but similar underlying dynamics of power, performance, and fragility.
Strikingly similar.
What's the biology behind this? Why this constant drive for hierarchy? Sapolsky draws parallels with primates, doesn't he?
He does. In baboon or chimp troops, Alpha males assert status through displays, posture, sometimes aggression. And fascinatingly, their brain chemistry actually changes with rank.
Like serotonin levels.
Exactly. High-ranking monkeys often have higher serotonin linked to confidence, well-being.
Yeah.
Lose-rank serotonin plummets. You can even experimentally boost a low-ranker's serotonin, and they might become more assertive.
And in humans, winning triggers something similar.
Yes. Winning a competition, getting that promotion, successfully asserting dominance triggers surges in testosterone and dopamine. This feeds a loop. Confidence leads to more assertive behavior, which can lead to more wins, reinforcing the cycle.
Testosterone rising during challenge or triumph.
Gearing us for decisive action, risk-taking. And even our body language echoes this. Those power poses people talk about. Projecting confidence can actually feed back and boost internal confidence. Sapolsky jokes that office politics is often just primate politics in suits.
Ancient wiring responding to cues of dominance and submission.
Still very much active. But humans scaled this up massively, didn't we? Beyond small troops.
Using imagination again. Harari's point.
Precisely. Early chiefs and kings didn't just use brute force. They buttressed authority with stories, claims of divine right, heroic lineage, supernatural powers, turning raw power into legitimate, accepted authority.
These imagined orders allowed hierarchies to span millions.
Exactly. The Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, its power rested on an incredibly elaborate imagined order, Christian doctrine, enforced by bureaucracy and ritual. Harari draws a direct line to modern corporations like Google or Ford. They exist as powerful legal entities only because we collectively agree they do. They're fictions, powerful fictions that structure vast hierarchies.
Which brings us to the power paradox. Leaders have to perform strength, but if it's just performance, it collapses.
That's the core tension. You need credibility beneath the costume. Robert Greene emphasizes this theatrical side of power. He advises leaders act like a king to be treated like one.
Like Catherine the Great, crafting her image.
Perfectly. Writing letters to Enlightenment philosophers, circulating her wit and wisdom, projecting an image of enlightened rule to solidify her legitimacy. It was conscious performance.
And Cialdini talks about how symbols, titles, uniforms command automatic deference.
Yes, that click, whir response. Actors in lab coats selling medicine on TV, people following a jaywalker in a business suit. We respond automatically to symbols of authority.
But Cialdini also warns about empty facades, right? Like the Milgram experiments.
A chilling warning. 65% of participants obeyed orders to give painful shocks, just because a guy in a lab coat told them to. Shows how easily performance can exploit deference, leading to terrible outcomes.
So true authority needs substance behind the symbols. Like Elizabeth Holmes, the performance was there, the substance wasn't.
Exactly. The costume of power needs real results, real integrity underneath. Otherwise, it's just a fraud waiting to be exposed.
So how do leaders navigate this? How do you wield power long-term, avoiding ego traps, maintaining credibility without it being just a show?
It's tough. Machiavelli famously advised rulers to avoid flatterers, surround themselves with advisors who'd speak the unvarnished truth, even if it's harsh. A call for structured dissent.
Like Lincoln's team of rivals. He didn't want yes men.
No, he wanted strong viewpoints challenging him, sharpening his thinking, preventing blind spots. He understood the value of constructive disagreement.
Modern research on psychological safety backs this up. Amy Edmondson's work.
Absolutely. Teams perform best when members feel safe to speak up, challenge ideas, admit mistakes without fear of punishment or ridicule. It leads to better decisions, more innovation.
Sapolsky even saw this in baboons, right? The troop that became more peaceful.
Fascinating study. The aggressive alphas died off, and a new, less aggressive, more cooperative culture emerged. Lower stress hormones, more communal behavior. It suggests reducing fear-based leadership boosts well-being and cohesion.
So leaders need authority, but balanced with listening, empowering others. Don't shoot the messenger.
Crucial. If you punish dissent or bad news, people stop bringing it. You become isolated, making poor decisions. Reward those who challenge respectfully.
Okay, so for us, the listener, how do we apply this? How do we lead ethically, effectively, whether it's a team, a family, or just ourselves?
2 power tools for ethical authority. Tool 1, the authority audit. Periodically, take inventory of your own power symbols.
Title, dress, office, communication style.
All of it. Then ask honestly, is this symbol backed by genuine expertise or value? And am I using this authority truthfully, beneficially? Identify any empty suits where compliance comes from the symbol, not the substance, and work to close that gap. Learn, stay humble, invite critique. Schedule these audits to keep vanity in check.
Ensure the performance matches the reality. Okay, tool 2.
Tool 2. The controlled dissent protocol. As a leader, explicitly state you value diverse opinions. Create safe spaces for it.
Like red team meetings to challenge plans, anonymous feedback.
Exactly. And crucially, model receptiveness. Reward those who disagree constructively or bring bad news. Maintain decorum, debate ideas, not people. And act on feedback, acknowledging when input leads to improvement.
Build psychological safety, makes power more secure because it's based on truth and trust.
Precisely. And it ensures you get the vital information you need to make good decisions. Your authority becomes more robust, more resilient, more real.
Okay, let's tackle one of the oldest, most persistent, and maybe most dangerous human patterns. Us versus them. Tribalism. Why are we so prone to it, and what are the consequences in our world today?
It's incredibly deep-seated. Robert Sapolsky dives into the biology here. It's remarkable how easily we form these divides, even totally arbitrary group labels.
Like flipping a coin to assign people to groups in an experiment.
Exactly. Even that can trigger loyalty to us and suspicion, even hostility towards them. Our brains seem wired for it. fMRI studies show the amygdala, the fear center.
Lights up differently for outgroup faces.
Potentially, yes. Signaling a subtle, maybe unconscious threat alert.
And oxytocin, the bonding hormone, plays a role too.
A complex role. It boosts bonding, empathy, cooperation within our in-group, our family, our team, our tribe. But that same hormone can increase distrust and even aggression towards outsiders.
So our empathy has biological roots, but it's often selective, directed mainly towards us.
That seems to be the case. It's an uncomfortable truth about our wiring.
And this biological wiring gets amplified by our capacity for myths, right? Harari's point again.
Massively amplified. Harari reminds us that large-scale social hierarchies, class, caste, race, nation, gender roles, aren't based on biology. They're built on cultural myths, stories we tell ourselves.
No biological difference justifies the Indian caste system or historical racial divides.
None known to science.
Here.
They are human inventions, powerful fictions sustained by collective belief. Often, accidental historical events lead to these entrenched hierarchies.
And Harari's arrow of history. We keep forming bigger groups, tribes to empires to global networks.
But often, this just creates new, larger supertribes, opposed to other supertribes. The drive to belong, to distinguish us from them, seems constant. It just shifts scale. We keep drawing lines in the sand.
And when this tribalism runs unchecked, especially today, it gets dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous. It affects politics, workplaces, online discourse. Robert Greene warns about the law of conformity.
The downward pull of the group.
Yeah, where individuals abandon critical thinking, lose self-awareness just to blend in. This can lead to mob mentality, group violence, or that insidious groupthink, where dissent is crushed and bad decisions get made because everyone's afraid to speak up.
Greene also talks about hidden aggression in groups, right?
Yes. People might wear friendly masks, but underlying hostility, envy, rivalry are often bubbling just beneath the surface. Understanding this isn't about being cynical. It's about avoiding naivete and finding ways to channel that aggression constructively.
Into competition, debate.
Exactly. And he stresses confronting your own shadow side, your own repressed aggressive impulses, so they don't erupt unconsciously in harmful ways.
Susan Cain adds another layer, too, with the extrovert bias. How that can subtly reinforce conformity.
Good point. Western culture often values the loud, assertive style. Schools, workplaces, emphasizing group work, open plans, can inadvertently silence introverts, creates pressure to conform to an extroverted norm, marginalizing valuable, different perspectives.
And Cialdini's social proof, if everyone believes it, it must be right, reinforces that conformity, makes us follow the herd.
Powerfully reinforces it, even when the herd is heading towards a cliff, like in financial bubbles or moral panics.
So the synthesis is, biology sets the stage our capacity for language, fear, empathy, aggression. But culture writes the script defining who's us, who's them, who we love, who we fear.
Both are crucial. And in today's world, hyper-connected yet fragmented, this ancient tribal wiring often misfires badly.
Social media echo chambers amplifying it.
Massively. Algorithms feed us what we already agree with, reinforcing our biases, making minor differences feel like existential threats. It can spiral quickly into dehumanization, polarization, misinformation. The us versus them mindset becomes overwhelming.
Okay, so what does this mean for you, the unified human, trying to navigate this? We need to actively expand our sense of us.
It's essential work, not easy, because it goes against deep wiring, but crucial.
How? What are the practical steps?
One key practice: perspective taking and diverse exposure. Intentionally seek out viewpoints beyond your bubble. Read articles, listen to podcasts, follow people online who challenge your assumptions. Be an echo chamber breaker.
Make it a conscious habit to hear the other side.
Yes. And another practical step. Perform regular othering audits. Catch yourself painting another group with a broad, negative brush, making assumptions based on stereotypes. Pause. Actively seek a personal story, a face, a human connection from that group.
Read a biography, watch documentary, have a real conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's much harder to hate or demonize someone up close when you understand their individual story.
And Dale Carnegie's advice, find common ground, applies here too.
Profoundly. In any disagreement, start by acknowledging shared values, shared goals. By consciously forging shared narratives, remember Harari, stories are our superpower. We can replace divisive myths with unifying ones.
Aiming to treat the whole world, or at least our community, as one tribe.
That's the aspiration. It shifts the focus from winning the argument to a winning shared understanding. Disagree without dehumanizing, turn conflict into problem solving. It's a fundamental shift in approach.
All right, let's dive into one of humanity's biggest paradoxes, our morality. We're capable of incredible empathy, compassion, self-sacrifice.
Building hospitals, volunteering, acts of breathtaking kindness.
Exactly. But we're also capable of horrific cruelty, violence, systematic dehumanization, war, genocide, everyday malice. How do we hold both these potentials? Where does our morality even come from?
It's a profound question. Robert Sapolsky explores this biological duality. Neurobiology is deeply involved. We measured oxytocin boosting in-group bonding.
But potentially increasing outgroup hostility.
Right. And framing someone as an other, as fundamentally different or threatening, can literally dampen down the brain's empathy circuits. Makes it easier to harm them or ignore their suffering.
Which helps explain how ordinary people can commit atrocities in certain contexts, like war or those Milgram experiments.
It's part of the explanation, yes. Context and authority can powerfully manipulate our moral sense. Yet, Sapolsky also points out, humans seem to have an inherent moral sense too. Even toddlers show basic fairness and aversion to harm. It suggests this duality is deeply ingrained.
Potential for good and ill wired in.
It seems so. Our inner ape, driven by ancient survival instincts, can be violent, territorial. But Sapolsky also notes that over the very long arc of history, there's evidence for a decline in violence overall.
Despite the horrific wars of the 20th century.
Yes. Statistically, looking across millennia, rates of violent death seem to have decreased, perhaps due to expanding circles of empathy, the rise of states that monopolize violence, rule of law. It's complex and debated, but the trend suggests progress is possible.
So biology sets the stage, culture writes the play.
Again, yes. Both potentials are there. The balance tilts based on context, culture, upbringing.
Robert Greene, though, he doesn't shy away from the darker side, does he? He urges us to see the hostility behind the friendly facade.
He does. He argues people often conceal envy, rivalry, aggression under politeness, understanding this isn't about being paranoid. It's about avoiding naivete, navigating social dynamics realistically.
And he advises confronting your own shadow side, your own aggressive impulses.
Yes. Consciously embrace and understand those parts of yourself, the envy, the resentment, the desire for power. An integrated human, for Greene, isn't someone who pretends to be purely good. It's someone aware of their full nature, dark impulses included, who then makes conscious choices about how to channel those energies constructively rather than letting them rule unconsciously.
Denying the darkness doesn't make it go away.
It often makes it more dangerous because it erupts unexpectedly.
Then you have Dale Carnegie offering a stark contrast, right? Fundamentally optimistic.
Completely. Carnegie operates from the assumption that people are deeply responsive to respect, kindness, understanding. His advice to never say you're wrong.
Because direct confrontation just triggers defensiveness.
Exactly. He believed blame only entrenches people. Instead, tactful suggestions, finding common ground, leading with empathy, that's what leads to change. Cooperation. His work is full of stories transforming hostility into friendship through diplomacy and appreciation.
So, Sapolsky shows the biological duality. Greene forces us to confront the shadow. Carnegie offers tools for bringing out the best in others through kindness. How do we synthesize this?
It means acknowledging the full spectrum within ourselves and others. We have these innate capacities for both good and evil.
And Harari adds that historical perspective, universal rights, peace as goals, they're relatively new ideas.
Very new, historically speaking. For millennia, war, slavery, oppression were just normal, often justified by myths. It's only recently, with humanism, the Enlightenment, that we've seen global movements to systematically reduce violence, increase empathy beyond the tribe.
And maybe modern institutions like trade and states make violence less appealing.
Harari suggests that, provocatively. Maybe cultural evolution can amplify our better angels by making cooperation more beneficial than conflict. It's a hopeful thought.
But the core tension remains, our ancient emotional responses, that limbic system fight or flight. It served us well for physical threats.
Incredibly well. But today, the triggers are everywhere and often not physical. A rude email, traffic, online arguments.
They ignite the same primal reaction.
Often, yes. But we can't physically fight or flee. So the stress response doesn't resolve properly. We end up in chronic stress.
And that aggression morphs into passive aggression, trolling, internalized anger.
Exactly. Our primal emotions, unchecked in this modern context, lead to personal regret, social friction, even violence.
So how does the unified human handle this, not eliminate emotions?
Impossible and undesirable. Emotions are vital information. It's about intelligent management.
For anger, aggression, Greene's controlled aggression.
Right. Channel competitive drives constructively. Sports, debate, business building, not destructively. If rage surges, use pre-planned techniques. Take deep breaths, use a mindfulness app, walk away. Give your prefrontal cortex a moment to step in before the amygdala takes over.
Create a pause button.
Essentially, yes. And for chronic stress, introduce recovery rituals, midday meditation, walks in nature, exercise. These aren't luxuries. They're biological necessities to reset your nervous system.
Leverage social support too. Positive interactions release oxytocin.
Absolutely. Oxytocin dampens cortisol. Connection is a biological stress buffer. The unified approach. Acknowledge the emotion, adjust your response, channel the energy constructively.
Okay, so what's a powerful tool for making better moral decisions in the heat of the moment?
We call this Tool 3, the 24-hour test. Inspired by Greene's historical view, it forces perspective. Before acting on an impulse, especially one driven by anger, jealousy, short-term gain, ask yourself,
Ask what?
would I do this if my great-grandchildren could read about it in a detailed history book tomorrow? Would I be proud of this action if it defined my legacy?
Wow. That immediately shifts the frame, doesn't it? Beyond the immediate impulse.
Totally. Tempted to lash out at a colleague.
Okay.
Ask, would my biography praise this? If not, pause. Choose differently. It binds your actions to your legacy self, your ideal self.
Ensuring your actions align with deeper values, creating patterns that stand the test of time. It's like giving your rational brain a veto over your impulsive brain.
Exactly. Proving to your ancient wiring that the modern unified you is in charge. Hashtag Chapter 9, Meaning and Purpose.
Okay, let's talk about meaning. Why do we search for it? What truly motivates us deep down, beyond just money or status? This feels like one of humanity's deepest needs. Purpose.
It really does seem fundamental. Harari points out that for most of history, purpose wasn't really an individual quest. It was communal.
Embedded in religion, tradition, social roles.
Exactly. Your life, your identity was woven into sacred myths, rituals. The group sustained the individual, gave their efforts, even their suffering, meaning within a larger cosmic drama.
But that changed with secularization, the Industrial Revolution.
Dramatically. Secular ideologies, nationalism, liberalism, capitalism gradually took over, becoming, as Harari puts it, new natural law religions. They offered new collective destinies, demanded devotion, meaning shifted from divine order to national progress, individual freedom, or maybe material success.
But has this shift made us happier, despite all the material progress?
That's the paradox Harari highlights. History's gains haven't reliably boosted happiness. Our brains, he argues, using evolutionary psychology, treat a medieval peasant achieving a small goal and a modern banker closing a huge deal. Similarly,
A temporary surge of serotonin, then back to baseline.
pretty much. The happiness set point seems fairly stable. Serotonin does, as he says, it's the neurochemistry, not just the external circumstances. This helps explain why GDP has soared, but well-being often plateaus. The Easterlin paradox.
It suggests just chasing more external achievements isn't the path to lasting contentment.
Right. Compare Western hustle culture, always chasing the next win, with traditions like Japanese ikigai, finding your reason for being, which emphasizes purpose and gratitude in everyday life, finding meaning now, not deferring it.
Which is why Dan Ariely's research on purpose at work is so fascinating. It shows meaning trumps money.
His studies consistently confirm it. Meaningful work is a far more powerful motivator than just cash. For instance, simply acknowledging someone's effort.
Even just a check mark on a completed task.
Even that. It dramatically increases persistence. In one experiment, people needed 37% less external reward if their effort was visibly recognized compared to when it was ignored.
We just want to know our effort matters.
Deeply. And even stronger is seeing the outcome. Remember Ariely's Lego experiment? People built models. Group A saw their models kept intact. Group B saw theirs immediately dismantled.
Group A built way more, right? Even though pay was the same.
57% more. Because they saw their work contributing to something tangible, something meaningful. When work feels pointless, motivation plummets.
And reminding people of their impact on others, like those call center agents.
Huge effect. When agents heard directly from beneficiaries how their work helped, their call time jumped 142% without any pay increase. It shows this profound human hunger for meaning, for contribution beyond the paycheck.
But what happens when that need isn't met? When purpose is absent?
Robert Greene warns about this starkly. He calls it the law of aimlessness. Lacking a clear, compelling purpose leaves us adrift, directionless, prone to self-sabotage.
Unlike animals guided by instincts, humans have to choose a calling.
Greene argues yes. Without one, we wander through life, never quite reaching our goals or realizing our potential. Like a ship without a rudder, just pushed around by currents.
A clear purpose acts as a force multiplier, channels energy, builds resilience.
Absolutely. And Greene is careful to distinguish true purpose from false purposes, like chasing pleasure, status, or money for their own sake. Those ultimately leave us empty, he argues, leading to burnout even amid outward success.
How does he suggest finding real purpose, looking back at childhood passions?
That's one key strategy. Recalling what genuinely fascinated you before social pressures kicked in, uncovering your primal inclinations.
And the neurobiology backs this up too. Sapolsky on dopamine.
Powerfully. Dopamine isn't just about feeling pleasure after achieving something. It's the neurotransmitter that fuels the goal-directed behavior to get the reward.
It drives the seeking, the striving.
Exactly. And each small step, each bit of progress towards a meaningful goal releases a little burst of dopamine. Makes the pursuit itself rewarding, keeps you going.
What about when we lack purpose? What happens in the brain then?
The default mode network, DMN, tends to take over. The mind-wandering network. It's linked to rumination, anxiety, loneliness.
So an idle, purposeless mind tends to worry and self-criticize.
Studies suggest that. People reporting social isolation or lack of purpose often show hyperactive DMNs. Purpose focuses the brain positively. Aimlessness invites negative spirals. Neuroscience really reinforces Greene's point about the dangers of aimlessness.
We see this playing out today, don't we? The burnout millennial archetype. High-paying job, but feels empty.
Classic example of chasing false aims, maybe, where the why behind the immense effort is missing or unfulfilling. Material success doesn't equal inner contentment.
And that collective purpose void, the loneliness epidemic, despite digital connection.
Right. Harari notes that community participation, civic life, traditional structures have declined in many places, leaves a gap where ready-made, shared meaning used to be. People crave belonging, shared values, but modern life often leaves them searching individually.
Okay, so acknowledging all this, how do we craft purpose in this complex world? How do you find your why?
3 powerful tools can help guide this essential quest. Tool 1, the Ikigai audit. That Japanese concept, reason for being. It's about finding the intersection of 4 key areas.
What are they?
1, what you love. Think childhood fascinations. 2, what you're good at, your skills, talents. 3, what the world needs. Harari. Big challenges, unmet needs you care about. 4, what you can be paid for, framing work by impact, not just income.
Finding where those 4 circles overlap, that's your Ikigai.
That's the sweet spot. It helps you craft a personal mission statement, a North Star integrating your passions with contribution.
Tool 2, how do you sustain it?
Tool 2, meaning momentum. Sustain purpose using Carnegie's wisdom. Celebrate small wins. Break big goals into tiny achievable steps. Each completed step gives encouragement.
And that dopamine hit Sapolsky talked about.
Exactly. Makes the next step easier. Ariely's progress principle. Even small progress boosts motivation more than distant rewards. Track these wins visibly, journal, checklists, see your progress accumulate, creates a virtuous cycle.
Okay. And tool 3.
Tool 3, collective purpose blueprint. Don't just focus inward. Fuse your individual purpose with community. Think about Danish Hage Cozy gatherings, shared warmth, valuing connection over wealth. It deliberately decouples happiness from just individual achievement.
Greene also talks about tying goals to a larger legacy, mentoring, preserving a craft.
Yes. Combine your personal drive, career capital with contribution, social capital. Your passion fuels the collective good, and the community supports your mission.
So modern purpose isn't choosing between individual freedom and collective belonging, it's blending them.
It's a cultivated blend. As Nietzsche said, he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. A meaningful life, whether from faith, family, service, creativity, provides that deep foundation of contentment and resilience that fleeting pleasures or material gains just can't match. It anchors you, makes life feel worth living. Hashtag Chapter 10, Towards the Unified Human.
Wow. Okay, we've covered so much ground today. Journeyed through these intricate layers, ancient instincts, shared myths, dual minds, habits, personality, influence, power, tribalism, morality, meaning. Now, the big question, how do we bring it all together?
How do we become truly unified humans? Individuals who integrate all these facets, rational and emotional, biological and cultural, ambitious and ethical, individual and collective.
Yeah, how do we synthesize this vast knowledge into something practical?
This final segment is all about that synthesis. Let's imagine it as a unified life experiment. Consider Maya a team leader we met briefly, navigating a typical challenging work week, but now consciously applying these integrated tools.
Okay, walk us through her week. Monday,
new hire bias. Maya's interviewing. She feels drawn to a charismatic candidate, but using Kahneman's bias checklist, tool 1, forces her to look at objective criteria. She applies Greene's cold reading, assessing competence beneath the charm. Result: she avoids the handsome, competent trap, hires the quieter but more qualified person. Her methodical approach keeps her own stress down too.
Smart. Tuesday, team tensions.
Team tensions. Two members clash over project credit. Maya uses Carnegie's rapport building and Greene's empathy. No blame. She praises both, listens actively, mirrors concerns, finds common ground. Result: tension diffused, laughter, handshake, oxytocin flows, trust rebuilt, conflict transformed.
Nice. Wednesday, the midweek slump.
Wednesday, habit tip. Maya feels the urge to doom scroll after lunch. Recognizes the Duhigg habit loop. She hacks it. Applies Sapolsky's stress reset insight. Swaps scrolling old routine for a brisk walk and protein snack. New routine. Satisfies the need for a break but boosts energy. Result: focus regained, cycle broken.
Thursday, dealing with another department. Us versus them.
Thursday, cross-depth them. Conflict with marketing brews. Classic tribalism. Maya uses Sapolsky's othering audit on her own team's bias. Applies Harari's shared narrative principle. Reframes it. We all want the product to succeed. Initiates a joint meeting focused on shared goals, not blame. Result: tribal warfare dissolved into collaboration.
Friday, big presentation.
Needs senior leadership buy-in. Employs Cialdini's social proof, other teams are succeeding with this, and Carnegie's digital charisma on Zoom warmth, eye contact with camera, active nodding. Result: compelling presentation, project approved, wins that Zoom charisma.
The principles translate online. Saturday, AI
coworker, tackling budget analysis with an AI assistant, feels initial skepticism, human bias, but combines Kahneman's formula trust-proven systems, with Carnegie's human AI trust ideas, treated as a partner. Reviews AI suggestions critically, but asks for explanations. Builds trust. Result: better budget, combining AI insight with human context, less bias, less strain.
And Sunday, reflection.
Reflection and purpose. Follows Greene Harari advice. Journals 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 lesson from the week. Reinforces positives. Confronts flaws constructively. Sets intentions aligned with core values. Result: sense of progress, connection, purpose reinforced. Ready for the next week.
This isn't just theory. Maya applying these tools literally changes her state, right? Less reactive, more deliberate, less stressed, more connected.
Exactly. Each time she did the harder thing when it's the right thing to do. Curbed a bias, pause before reacting. She strengthened her prefrontal cortex, her system 2 control. It's a real measurable shift towards becoming a more unified human.
Which leads to this idea you mentioned, cognitive revolution 2.0.
Yeah. Just as Harari's first cognitive revolution allowed mass cooperation through shared fictions, maybe today we're at a similar threshold. We can upgrade our cognitive OS by consciously uniting our ancient wiring with this cross-disciplinary wisdom and new technology.
We can deliberately rewrite the code using these insights.
That's the potential, moving beyond reacting based on ancient defaults to consciously creating our future.
So we need a framework to organize all this, a master framework.
Just like that. Think 3 columns. 1, our ancient wiring, evolution's gifts and baggage, instincts, biases. 2, modern maladaptations, how that wiring causes problems today. 3, unified practices, concrete tools to bridge the gap.
Apply that to key areas, like social behavior, Tribal minds in a global village.
Ancient wiring, small tribes, suspicion of outsiders. Maladaptation, modern polarization. Unified practice. Expand us via perspective-taking, othering audits, shared narratives.
Harari.
Decision-making. Stone Age brains, high-tech world.
Ancient wiring, fast heuristics. Kahneman System 1. Maladaptation, modern biases. Unified practice, bias-filtered thinking. Kahneman and Greene. Use AI checks. Marry intuition with analysis.
Emotions and impulses. Primal passions, modern stress.
Ancient wiring, limbic fear-anger responses. Maladaptation, chronic stress, unhealthy aggression. Unified practice, aggression transformed. Greene. Channel constructively, stress recovery rituals. Sapolsky.
And we can upgrade classic wisdom. Greene's laws, definitely. Greene's law of irrationality becomes bias-filtered thinking, using checklists, AI. His law of conformity becomes an echo chamber breaker, actively seeking opposing views, Carnegie style. His law of aggression becomes aggression transformed, using constructive outlets, mindfulness tech.
And Dale Carnegie's principles.
Yeah.
Still vital, just adapted.
More needed than ever. Smile becomes projecting warmth on video calls. Remember names applies to emails, texts. Show genuine interest becomes digital empathy. Thoughtful responses. Avoid public criticism becomes praise publicly, critique privately. Assume good intent online.
It's Carnegie with a digital polish. Human nature hasn't changed, just the medium.
Exactly. The need to feel seen, appreciated, heard remains central.
And this unified approach isn't just personal, it's a global challenges toolkit.
It has to be. The same principle scale. For polarization, a polarization vaccine. Sapolsky's audit, diagnose bias, plus Harari's myth-busting, create new shared narratives, plus Greene-Carnegie dialogue, engage across divides.
Climate change.
The climate behavior protocol. Ariely's motivation boosters, make green choices attractive, plus Cialdini's social proof, leverage peer influence, plus neurocompatible nudges, align actions with brain defaults.
AI collaboration.
It's an AI collaboration handbook. Kahneman's bias firewall, AI checks human, human checks AI, plus Carnegie's human AI trust building, transparency, empathy, involve humans.
Wow. The same approach transforms individuals and potentially our shared world. So for you, the listener, right now, create your own unified life plan.
Make it practical. Daily rituals, morning. 5-minute decision warm-up, prime rational brain, pre-bunk bias. Midday, 5-minute social sprint, deliberate positive interaction, exercise empathy. Evening, 10-minute reflection, 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 lesson, consolidate, align.
Quarterly check-ins, a biopsychosocial audit, health, stress, sleep, meaning, purpose, growth, relationships, connection, community. Step back, see the big picture.
And annually, a legacy builder. Sketch a life timeline, craft your personal narrative. What's your story? What matters most? Align daily actions with that long-term vision.
This plan helps balance that paradox, being proactive yet adaptable. Control versus surrender.
Exactly. Ensuring your actions create that positive ripple. Hashtag outro.
What an incredible deep dive. The unified human. We've seen how truly understanding ourselves, our ancient instincts, shared myths, dual minds, habits, social selves, power dynamics, tribalism, morality, search for meaning. It's not just interesting, it's the essential first step to evolving together.
This journey isn't just about knowing stuff, it's about applying it. Integrating this wisdom from biology, psychology, history lets you consciously rewrite your own story. Make better choices, build stronger relationships, contribute to a more unified future.
We really hope this deep dive has given you powerful, practical tools. Tools to navigate daily life, your relationships, even those big global challenges. Those contradictions we feel, instinct versus reason, self versus group, good versus evil, they can be managed, integrated.
Understanding where we come from truly empowers us to shape where we're going. The future depends on unified humans, people who are rational and emotional, individual and collaborative, consciously writing the next chapter, not just reacting blindly.
If you've enjoyed this deep dive, please do subscribe to BookTalk Studio for more weekly insights. Check out our playlists. Your support really helps us keep doing this.
So go ahead, live the experiment, write your story, contribute your unique, unified verse to the epic of humanity. The evolution continues with you.